Hi, so in this video today, I'm just going to create a PDF file from a Python script. So if you're using Python for any purposes like reporting or some analysis, it's actually useful to generate a PDF from it because you might want to share that PDF with someone and it's just a very convenient format to have. Now, luckily, it doesn't take much to create a PDF from Python, but you have to know which library to use and how to use it. So the library that I use, which I intend to demonstrate to you, is called ReportLab. If I just go to the browser, you can go to reportlab.com, and if you scroll down, you see they have a lot of commercial products. But right at the bottom, they also happen to have an open source project right here. If I go learn more, you can see all the details of this project right here. And of course, you can read about them, but I would suggest that you go to docs. And the first document is for the open source file. So just get the PDF and you can read all about it over here. Right now, we're just going to use this library and do a few simple things with it just to get you a little feel for what it can do, right? So the first thing we'll want to do is to actually install this library. And to do that, you can use Pip3 Install. If you're familiar with Python, which I'm assuming that you are because you're trying to create PDFs with it. You can just use Pip3 Install, and if I for ReportLab, if I run it here, it says the requirement is already satisfied because of course I have already installed it. If you run it on a blank if you don't already have it, it will install it for you. Once that's done, I have here a blank Python file ready to go. Notice that I'm using, of course, Python 3.9. That is the latest version. I would highly recommend that you go with the latest version. So basically, you can import a lot of stuff from ReportLab. It has a lot of libraries and a lot of components in it. But 4 things that you want to absolutely will want to import are these 4. So let's just go over them one by one. I'll uncomment them first and then show you one by one. The first thing you have to do is to import the canvas. This is the basic object on which you will be drawing everything, right? And this comes from reportlab.pdfgem. Then, because it's a PDF, you're dealing in specific page sizes. So you'll want to import page sizes, and from that you will want to import the page size that you want. I am importing A4 because that's the size of the page that I want to create. Then you will want some units. You can work with inches, centimeters, other units are available. I am going to reportlab.lib.units and import centimeters. Finally, I will import from the library again some colors that I will be using to output various things onto that PDF. So just to recap, we need the canvas, a page size, a unit system, and some colors. Now with these 4 imports done, you need exactly 2 lines of code to create a basic blank PDF. So it's quite simple. First, let's just create a canvas object. So I'm going to create a variable called myCanvas, and you can call it anything you like, of course. MyCanvas will be equal to canvas dot the canvas method, and within that I'm going to give it a file name. First of all, I'm going to call it test.pdf. Then I'm going to specify the page size, and I'm going to go A4, and then I'm going to set one more parameter called bottom up. I'm going to set it equal to 0, and in a minute I will show you what this does. Now this canvas here is coming from here. I can use page size equal to A4 because of course I imported that up here. The next thing I need to do, and I'll do it here, is myCanvas.save. So with these 2 lines of code, if I run it even now, I should be able to generate a file. So I'll just do that, I'll run it, and immediately you see here I get a file. Now I did not specify a path here, and so it gets created in the same folder in which my Python script is running. And if I go in there, of course it's blank because I haven't actually done anything with it so far, but we will be adding some stuff to it right now. By the way, I'm able to preview this PDF within VS Code because I have a plugin here, VS Code.pdf, which lets me read PDFs within VS Code. It's quite handy. Okay, so now let's actually do something with it. The first thing I'll show you is how to output some text. Let's just go here. Output some text into your PDF. So the way to do that is to first of all create a text object, and then we'll work with it. So let's just call it text, and we'll say text is equal to myCanvas.begin text, just like that. Now this gives you a text object to work with, and then you can set its various properties. So I'll say text dot set font, and I'll set the font to Times Roman, and I'll set the font size to 14. Next, text dot set stroke color, and I'll set that equal to red. Next, I'll say text dot set origin, set text origin. And now this is where you have to sort of be absolutely sure what you're doing. I will set the origin. It is of course the X and Y coordinate, but the coordinate system works from left to right, and because I've set bottom up equal to 0, it works from top to bottom. Without this, it would have gone from bottom to top. And the units that we will use for X and Y will be centimeters. I'll just show you how. So we want this text to appear about 1 centimeter from the left edge of the page. So I'm going to go 1 into centimeter. This is the X coordinate. And then I wanted 5 centimeters from the top of the page. So I'm going to go 5 into centimeters. And then the all important text out. What do we want to print? I'm just going to say hello there. And finally, I will print this on the canvas. So I'm going to go my canvas dot draw text, and I will give it the text object that we just created. And that's it. If I save it now and I run it, here we go. It says hello there. 1 centimeter from the left, 5 centimeters from the top. Now let's just quickly show you what this parameter does. So I'm going to set bottom up equal to 1, save it, run it again, and now you will notice that it appears not at the top but 5 centimeters from the bottom. So that's what that parameter does, right? Now the coordinate system is working from the bottom up. Like I said, I like to work from the top down, so I'm going to set this back to 0 like this, and then it'll work the way at least I expect it to work. So that's text, but it also has a lot of other convenient features built in. So you can also do a rectangle, for example. Let's do that next. So I'm going to go my canvas dot rect. That'll just draw a rectangle directly. The parameters are x, y, width, height, and the fill. So let's just go x again. This time I want it about 2 centimeters from the left, 2 into centimeters. I want it 10 centimeters from the top, so 10 into centimeters from the top. The width will be 5 centimeters, and the height will be 8 centimeters. We'll leave the stroke to 1, and we'll have the fill equal to 1 as well, because we want it filled out. And if I just run it one more time and go check it, that's the rectangle that we just made. Notice this is about 1 centimeter from the left, this is about 2 centimeters, so the dimensions that we gave are working quite nicely, as you would expect it to do. Now, because we set the stroke color to red, but also we haven't set the fill color yet. So let's just set a fill color here, and I'm going to say my canvas dot set fill color. Let's just set it to red, and also my canvas dot stroke. Okay, let's just leave that out for now. Let's just keep it simple, and I run it again, and now it's a red rectangle, right? Fairly straightforward. Now let's just set the line width. So my canvas dot set line width, and I'm going to set it to 10 now, so make it nice and thick. Save it and run it one more time, and nothing happens. That's because I have not set the stroke color. So my canvas dot set dot set stroke color. Let's set it to purple and run it again, and there you go, a nice big purple border and a red box. So as you can see, once you get the basic hang of it, it's fairly straightforward. Of course, you can read up on all the different functions available. We'll just do one more. I'll just copy the whole thing here, and this time I'm going to set the fill color to yellow. I think we imported yellow. Yes, we did. Yellow, so we can use that. Line width this time will be 3. I want a fine border, not a very big one. The stroke color can be red. The distance, and this time I'm going to go, instead of rect, I'm going to go rounded rect. Round rect, right? And this has pretty much the same parameters, except that it also requires a corner radius, which we'll just specify. But let's just change the distance. So I want it about 4 centimeters from the left. Let's just say 15 from the top. The dimensions can be 3 by 4. And then here, I'm going to specify the radius. So 0.4, let's just make it 1 into centimeter radius, and comma, and the rest are the same. And if I now run it again, like this, I now have, hopefully, a rounded rectangle as well. Right, so now notice that this is on top of the previous rectangle. That's as common sense would dictate, because this is getting rendered after that. I can actually take this whole thing, put it up there, and if I do it the other way around, then you'll see that now the rounded rect will be behind it, right? So you can set the Z order, if you will, literally by changing the code around. So whatever is at the top will get printed first, and whatever comes after that will get rendered on top of it. And that's how it works. And that's why I like to sort of do them from top to bottom, because it's easy to keep track that way. Okay, so as a final sort of, it's an obvious point, but just to sort of drive it home, this is all basic, simple, straightforward Python code, right? We are just using the library. So we can do things like this. If I want to print this text 5 times, I can just go for x in range 0, 5, and just make a loop out of it. Indent these ones, and each time through I will change the x and y position, right? So instead of doing 1 centimeter, I'm going to say x into 0.x into 1, let's just say, into centimeters, and x into 1 centimeters into 2 centimeters on the y direction. And if I run it this time, you get these multiple, right? So every time it moves 2 centimeters from this side, and of course it moves vertically downwards as well. So it's just regular code, and of course because you can use loops and all the other Python constructs, you can get some fairly sophisticated stuff done. So that's my introduction to how to use this library. There's a lot more to take in. It's a very extensive library, and what I would suggest is that if you go to the documentation like I showed you previously, you can read all about it, right? So you got all the font settings over here, the paragraphs, you can do tables, there's a lot of stuff here. You can do all kind of graphics, you can do bar charts, line charts, and so on. So it's actually a very well-rounded library, and I've been using it for a while, and I found it quite useful. As an example of how to use it, I do have a code, and I'll leave the link below. This is one of my own scripts which I use to generate a calendar. If I just go, it's a single file. If I show you the code here, it is using the ReportLab library. It has more imports because I'm doing more stuff with it. But basically, the basic flow will be the same, right? So you will generate, you will have a canvas object, and then you will sort of print different things into it. So you can just download this or take a look at it if you want to sort of experiment some more at the starting point. And what it does is it generates a calendar for you. So just as a sample of the kind of output that it will generate is right here, right? So you specify the year, and it will generate the calendar for you, right? So with the new year coming around, maybe you want to actually do that, and the way you do that is right at the bottom you're calling it, and whichever year you call it with, it's right behind here. That's the year for which the calendar will get printed, and it is using objects, by the way. So if you're familiar with Python objects and classes rather, then you will not have any problem following this. Okay, so that is my introduction to how to use ReportLab to generate PDFs with a Python script. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please do leave us a like or a comment. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.